Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalatam Yeni Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Bob, would you like to read the English?
I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with a torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. So,
is it text 13?
Yes, yes.
We haven't read
we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, entitled Knowledge of the Absolute, text number 13. Tribir Gunamayar Bhavir
Tribir Gunamayo Bhavir
Ebi Sarvamidam Jagat
Ebi Sarvamidam Jagat
Mohitam Nabijanati
Mohitam Nabijanati
Mamebhya Param Avyayam
Mamebhya Param Vyayam.
Okay. Would anyone else like to have a go at that?
Tribhi Guna Maya Bhave
Trivir Gunamaya Bhavar
Sarvamadi Jagata Idam Jagat
He Sarvamidam Jagat
Mohita Nabhijanati
Mohitam Nabhijanati
Mamebhya Param Vyayam.
Ma'ebhya Param Avyaham. That's difficult.
But I think we read this one last week.
You did well.
We read the purport.
Oh, that's why I hesitated, because I was trying to remember, are we on?
Yeah, we did. We didn't read the
We
purport.
read that one, but we didn't read the purport.
What did you say? We didn't read the purport?
No.
We didn't.
Okay.
We went there Sanskrit.
Okay, so we're on the right track then, because we have to read the purport, so that's fine. That's fine. Okay. Gulshan, would you like to read the translation, please?
The whole world is enchanted by three modes of material nature. Those who are bewildered by these three modes cannot understand the transcendental to this material nature is the Supreme Lord Krishna. Every living entity under the influence of material nature has a particular type of body and a particular
Hang on. I thought you were going to read the translation.
Well, translation, already done that last week. Anyway, okay, I'll do it. Deluded three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. The whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and
exhaustible.
Like, one is exhausted, one is inexhausted. Remember last week you explained?
Yeah, we discussed the meaning of that.
So we read this.
So Krishna never gets tired out.
Yeah,
we talked about Atlas. Remember, the Greek mythology has the idea of Atlas carrying the globe on his shoulders, and Prabhupada said Krishna's not like Atlas. He doesn't have to do a lot of hard work and lifting heavy things and all that stuff. So,
and he was still dancing.
Yeah, still dancing. Remember, I was saying how that Krishna has unlimited energies. He never gets reduced in any way. And the analogy is like the sun, right? The sun's pumping out energy day after day after day after day, year after year, decade after decade, century after century, millennium after millennium, and it's never getting exhausted. So just like that, Krishna's like the sun multiplied unlimitedly. He expands his energies out, creating universes and everything, spiritual world, material world, everything, but he never gets reduced in any way. He never becomes reduced or diminished or fizzled out or anything like that. So he always remains the same supreme absolute truth. And that's something the Mayavadis, remember I was saying the Mayavadis, they can't understand that with their teeny brain. Any material object, if you divide it up, like I mentioned a cake, right? If you cut it up into 12 pieces and you distribute those 12 pieces, then the original cake is not there anymore. So they calculate God like that. Okay, Krishna's divided himself up into all this, material world and spiritual world. He doesn't exist anymore. He doesn't exist anymore. But you can't compare Krishna to a material object that's divided up and then it doesn't exist anymore like that. So Krishna's pointing out here that he's inexhaustible. And he also mentioned, we discussed about that he's above the modes of material nature. He's above, so he's not controlled. He controls the modes of material nature, Maya. He's not controlled by Maya. He's in control of Maya. However, we are under Maya. He's above Maya, and where are we? We're under Maya. We are under the influence of Maya fully. And so Krishna is never covered by Maya. Like remember we gave that analogy of the sun and the clouds, and then us standing underneath the clouds. And remember I was saying sometimes we can't see the sun, right? We can't see the sun. Why? Because the cloud is covering the sun. But actually that's not correct, is it? To say the cloud is covering the sun.
Not correct.
Because how big is the sun compared to the cloud?
Very large.
Very large. So it's not possible for 100-mile cloud to cover 1,000,000-mile or whatever it is sun. So what's actually covered? What's actually covered?
We are the one covered.
Do you mean your eyes or?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Good one, Bob. You remembered. So it's our eyes are covered by the cloud. So it's not the sun is covered by the cloud, but it's our eyes that are covered by the cloud. Because the cloud has come between our eyes and the sun, so we can't see the sun. In the same way that Maya comes between us, the soul, and God, so we can't see God. We can't see God. But God himself is never covered by Maya because he's like the sun, right? He's above the cloud, and he's much bigger than the cloud. So he's never covered by Maya, but we are very insignificant. We're very small. Anu, the nature of the soul is called Anu, means very tiny, very minute. Whereas Krishna is called Vibhu. Vibhu means the greatest. The greatest. Let's hear about Arjuna's realization about Krishna's position in the 10th chapter, text number 12 and 13, 2 verses together. 10th
Got it.
12 and 13.
Said, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa confirm this truth about you, and you yourself are declaring it to me.
This is Arjuna's realization about who Krishna is. So one thing he says, which I was saying, is that he's the greatest. So in the verse it used the word vibhu, vibhum. Vibhum means the greatest. So Krishna is very great, and we are Anu. We're very tiny. We're very tiny. So much appreciation here of Krishna's transcendental qualities. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth, eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, and the greatest. So not only Arjuna is declaring that Krishna is God, but who else is? So it's mentioned a few of the persons that also saying the same thing. So he's mentioning great sages also saying that Krishna is God. So, you know, people say, oh, you Hare Krishnas, you know, you say that Krishna is God, but we don't believe that. You know, you just made it up or something. That's just your belief. That's your belief. No, it's not. This is authorized. You know, this is given in all the authentic scriptures by highly, authorized authorities. Very great authorities are all saying the same thing. All their opinions line up that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna is saying that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You know, like in a bit earlier in this chapter, the 8th verse, Krishna's the famous verse of the first of the 4 seed verses, which are just prior to this one we've just read now. So after hearing the 4 seed verses of the Bhagavad Gita, then Arjuna made the statement, but the 8th one says,
"O son of Kunti, I am the taste of
no, not that one, 10:8.
10:8. Oh, okay.
8:8.
Yeah. I'm the source of all spiritual and material world. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this energy in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts."
So in this verse, Krishna is basically saying that he's God. Because what's God? God is the source of everything. God is from that person from whom everything comes. That person from whom everything emanates, everything comes, the source of everything, that's God. And when you have the knowledge and you accept that knowledge, which means you realize it, then what do? And that's also said in the second part of this verse. Then you serve Krishna. First thing is to realize that Krishna is God. And then naturally, following that knowledge that Krishna is God, then what should we do? We should do bhakti. We should serve God. Okay, Krishna is the source of everything. He's the source of me, my family, my house, my money, my body, you know, this planet, every planet, you know, the spiritual world, everything. Oh, so I should surrender. I should surrender to Krishna and serve Krishna, try to please Krishna. You know, so this is natural. So that's explained in this verse. Krishna is saying himself that he's God and that everyone should serve me. And then in the one we just looked at, the 12 and 13, the Arjuna is saying that. Arjuna is saying that Krishna is God. And then Arjuna is saying that Narada is also saying the same thing, and Asita is saying it, and Devala and Vyasadeva, who compiled all the Vedas, are saying the same thing. And then he's saying that, and finally he says, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. So he's saying, so Arjuna is saying that Krishna, you have just said also that you're God. You know, where does he say that? And that's what I said, the eighth verse, where Krishna is saying that he's God. So many authorities, their opinions are lining up that Krishna is the supreme person. You know? So we have no doubts in our mind that who is God? That is Krishna. There's no doubts. And a lot of people, they have some vague idea that must be some God, right? God created everything. There must be some being that created everything. You know, and Christians and so many different religious people like that, Muslims and like that, different religions are there. But nearly all of them have very vague idea about God, very vague, not very definite at all. Oh, who is God? You ask any of them, who is God? Oh, he is up there somewhere, you know, in the heaven, and he created everything. No, but here we have so much more information about God. We know his name, right? We know God's name. God is not a name. God is a position. God means controller, right? In Sanskrit, we say Ishvara. Ishvara means controller. So God is a position. It's not a name. It's not the name of a person. It's a position. Like you say president, right? Prime Minister. okay, you have a prime minister, very good, but who is the prime minister? I don't know who the prime minister is, so like that. So, people know there must be a supreme president, a god like that controls everything, but they don't know who it is. But we know who the name of the god is, who the Ishvara, the controller, is. We know what he looks like. You ask anyone else, what does God look like? First of all, they can't tell you the name. The name. A few might say Jehovah or something like that, give a name. But then even if they give a name, then even that's not a very, it's not like a very personal name. God has different levels of names. So Krishna is the ultimate name. And also those names of God in connection, in relationship with his devotees. Like I give you an example. These are favorite names of God that are connected with his devotees. Like Krishna's mother, when he came to this material world, one of them was Yashoda. So one of Krishna's favorite names is Yashoda Nandana. It means the son of Yashoda. Or another one of his mothers is Devaki, devotee. So Devaki Nandana. And also his devotee accepted the position of father. So Nanda Maharaj. So Nanda Nandana, the son of Nanda. And he was also the son of Vasudev. Vasudev, short A, Vasudev. So one of Krishna's names is Vasudeva. Father's name is Vasudev, short A, and his name is Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva, like that. So Krishna enjoys having his names connected with his devotees, like that. But all these other names are very formal names and not very high-level names, like Allah, Jehovah, like that. Very not, like saying Ishvara, like that. Not high up on the list of what names Krishna likes to be called. Isn't it? You can't call God just anything, right? He has to identify himself with those names. Like if you call me Fred, I'm not going to respond. I have, a couple names I respond to, like that. So you can't just call God anything you like. It has to be a name that he has accepted, like that he wants, like that. So, and then we know what God's qualities are. His qualities, like he's very forgiving, he's very patient, he's very compassionate, he's very determined. He's very affectionate to his devotees. So like that.
It's like your name. Like, the question
What's that?
You said that, like, your name is Aaron. If somebody call you Fred, you're not gonna answer. But name is just given this world, like whatever you are, regardless. So who give it a name Krishna? Before the birth, we didn't know that a boy will born and then be given a name as Krishna.
Yeah.
Who will give the name as a Krishna? Like.
So Krishna himself is eternal, right? Yeah. So his names are also eternal. There's no time, just like there's no time when Krishna did not exist. So also there was no time where his names did not exist. Okay. Where his pastimes did not exist. Even though you could say, well, Krishna appeared on this earth 5,000 years ago, and then he became the son of Yashoda and the son of Vasudeva and all this kind of thing. I mean, like that. Vasudeva and Yashoda and that. So before 5,000 years, then he wasn't Yashoda Nandana, wasn't Vasudeva. No, that's not true. Because these pastimes are always going on in one universe after another. So don't think that that's before Krishna came 5,000 years ago, he didn't have a relationship with Yashoda or Nanda or Vasudeva. No, he did. Those are eternally going on. And apart from that, there is an eternal Yashoda in the spiritual world. There's an eternal Nanda, devotee named Nanda. And Krishna is eternally their son. In the Vaikuntha, in the Goloka Vrindavan and Vaikuntha, Krishna is eternally the son of Yashoda, eternally the son of Nanda, like that.
But before 5,000 years ago,
Yeah.
Krishna was there, but not in the name of Krishna. It will be different name.
No.
Huh.
In the spiritual world, his name is always Krishna there. That Krishna name, Krishna's there. And whenever he comes to any universe, he's also has that name Krishna, like that. That name Krishna is also there. And whenever he goes to a particular universe, then Yashoda will also go, and Nanda will also go, and Arjuna will also go. So his eternal associates travel with him. It's like compared to a transcendental roadshow. So Krishna's on a roadshow with his devotees, and they can keep going around all the universes one after another after another. So not only he goes alone, but all of his eternal associates go with them. Does that mean Krishna and the devotees are absent from the spiritual world when they're in the material? No. That they simultaneously are in the spiritual world having pastimes, and as well as being in the material world having pastimes, and different pastimes. So Krishna will be doing one thing in the spiritual world, and then he'll be in the material world killing a demon or something like that. So it's a different pastime. He's not doing the same thing because there are no demons in the spiritual world. So definitely Krishna is not killing demons there. So he's playing the flute and playing with the cows and that in the spiritual world. In the material world, he's killing a demon or something like that, marrying princesses and so many things like that. So these are called Nitya Lila, eternal pastimes. Eternal pastimes. And no one else knows about this except for the followers of the Vedas. Only the followers of the Vedas know this. So much detail. Vyasadeva. I mean, look, the Christians have one book. How many books do we have? I can't even count how many books do we have. Even what Vyasadeva is given, he gave the 4 Vedas, which are huge, the Rig, Sama, Atharva, and Yajurveda. And then he got given us the Mahabharata, the greater history of the history of great India, and then 108 Upanishads. 108. On Saturday we read one of them, which we've been reading for years, the Sri Upanishad, which is the first of the 108. The Sri Upanishad. And then there's 18 Puranas, and we read one of those, which is the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is also known as the Bhagavad Purana. So this has 2 names, Srimad Bhagavatam. The other name is Bhagavad Purana, so it's one of the Puranas. So there's 18 altogether. And as you know, this one is like, it's so big, it's like 18 books, and that's just one of the Puranas, like that. And then within the Mahabharata, that's the Bhagavad Gita is the philosophy within the Mahabharata. So many, and then the Acharyas have given so many, like Jiva Goswami, he's written over 100 books, and then Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, we like for example, the Nectar of Devotion is Rupa Goswami, the Nectar of Instruction, the small book, that's Rupa Goswami. Hari Bhakti Vilas, Sanatana Goswami. All the Sandarbhas, which is many of them, type of Sandarbha, but that's Jiva Goswami. So, I mean, we got like thousands and thousands of books all about God, whereas at the most, someone has one book. So we've got so much information about God, so much information, and the names of God, the qualities of God, what God looks like, his form, the pastimes of God, everything like that. But still we struggle, of course, to surrender. But we got no excuse, I mean, definitely we can't say that we're ignorant, I mean, we've got so much knowledge there. But of course, how are we going to apply that knowledge? That's up to us, whether we apply it or not. It's not easy to surrender. And one purport in the Bhagavad Gita, I think it's at the end of the 2nd chapter or something like that, Prabhupada says one can become Krishna conscious in a moment or not in millions of lifetimes. It simply depends on one's accepting the fact. Did you get that? Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, it is the end of the second chapter. Last verse of the second chapter. Second chapter, text 72.
Second 72.
Yeah. So someone can read. It's just the first sentence, the first two sentences of the purport.
I'm waiting for Bob.
Is it that is the way? Is that
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, Bob. So you read the purport there. Just the first two sentences.
Right. That is the way of the spiritual.
No, purport. One can attain Krishna consciousness.
Sorry. One can attain Krishna consciousness or divine life at once, within a second, or one may not attain such a state of life even after millions of births. It is only a matter of understanding. Oh, sorry. Is it?
Read that sentence you're on now.
It is only a matter of understanding and accepting the fact.
Wow, that's deep. I'm still comprehending that after 30 years. So,
Bob, you're choking. That means that's the truth. That's why you're choking.
okay. So, yeah, it is only a matter of understanding and accepting the fact. What's the fact, that we need to understand and accept? That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's our master, our boss, and we're his servant, and we should be happy to be his servant. So we have that knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we're his servant. But have we understood that what it entails, and have we accepted in our heart? I mean, we can accept it in our brain. It's gone in our brain. We hear it in every class that Krishna is God and we're a servant. But have we accepted it in our heart? Have we really understood it? So we have theoretical knowledge. That's called jnanam, theoretical knowledge. And then you have the realized knowledge, applied knowledge, realized knowledge. That's called vijnana.
Sometimes it does realize it, but not all the time. Sometimes if you're in the spiritual place or something like that, you can feel that everything. Yes, you maybe cry, things like that, but not all the time. Why is the duality there?
That's because the cloud came over our head. The cloud of Maya. We get temporarily covered by Maya, and then the cloud goes away. Like when you enter into like you said, a lovely atmosphere, a beautiful Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan with thousands of devotees around you. There's kirtan going on, the beautiful Radha Shyam Sundar Krishna Balaram Gauri there. Then the cloud's not there anymore. Then you're in the spiritual world. Unfortunately, you walked out the door. So like that. That's where the problem sometimes comes, So, but that's very common in the beginning of our practice of Krishna consciousness. It's called anishta. So we're not steady, but at a certain point you become nishta. Nishta means steady or fixed. But at this point, before we come to that situation of being fixed or steady, we go up and down. We oscillate between Krishna conscious and then Maya and Maya, Krishna conscious and then in Maya, and Krishna conscious and in Maya. But eventually, if we just keep going, eventually we'll be more on the Krishna conscious and less Maya, and then eventually always Krishna conscious and no Maya. So we just got to keep going, Prabhupada said one time very humbly that I can't remember exactly the number of years, but it was something like 30 years. He said it took me 30 years to perfect japa.
Whoa.
Like that. So, I mean, he's just saying that out of humility, but in one sense, that's true, it takes practice, It's not, you can't expect to be perfect in anything, straight away. You just have to keep on going, keep trying. Slowly get better and better and better.
But I think the Krishna doesn't.
But even then, it's not automatic, because like here in this purport, it's saying even in millions of lifetimes, it can take that long.
Yes.
So millions of births. like that, or it can happen in a moment. So one time, a disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati asked the question. Prabhupada's Guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he said, Guru Maharaj, sometimes we see that devotees, they have attended the Mongol Arati for many years and chanted the holy name for many years and heard so many classes from you for many years and attended so many, artis and done preaching and everything like that. And yet still, it looks like they're not very advanced. It seems like they're not very advanced in Krishna consciousness. How is that possible? And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, they have intestinal worms. They have intestinal worms.
Okay.
Okay, do you get that? You all understand that? Nod your head if you understand that.
It's like, how do you remove?
No, now I'll explain. Now I'll
Like
explain what it means. Okay. So you could be eating the best quality food, samosa, paneer sabji, gulab jamuns, puris, like that, delicious food, honey, fresh fruits, organic fresh fruits, like that. But if you've got worms in your gut, do you get the benefit from all that good quality food that you're eating?
No.
Who's getting the benefit of the good food that you're eating? The worms. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's point is, if in your heart you have lust and greed,
anger
and envy and pride, and you get the idea, right? All these, they're called anarthas or unwanted things. These are like worms. And even though you're chanting and hearing classes and going to temples and so forth, that it all gets nullified. It can get nullified just to some degree by these worms of lust and greed and anger and envy and pride and so forth like that. So therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in one of his pastimes, where they clean before the Rath Yatra, Jagannath is taken to the Gundicha temple, and then they had the Rath Yatra. So actually no, I've got it wrong way around. So they have the Rath Yatra. The Rath Yatra is going from Jagannath Puri to Gundicha. But before the Rath Yatra, they clean the Gundicha temple. So before Jagannath comes on his chariot to that place, that temple Gundicha, the devotees clean it. So that when he gets there, then it's all nice and clean. So in that pastime, Lord Chaitanya asked all the devotees to clean the Gundicha temple with him. And he said, you make a pile of all the dirt. You make a pile of all the dirt you collect, keep a pile, and we'll see who has collected the most dirt. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is God, in the mood of a devotee. So he was also cleaning. And he collected the biggest pile of dirt, right? And it's said that pastime is an analogy that we have to clean our heart of all these unwanted things, like I said, lust, greed, and envy, and pride, and everything. So that cleaning the heart is like creating that pile of dirt, all that rubbish, and then you have to get rid of it. So you have to identify those things. So that the idea of that pastime is to help us understand we need to clear all this junk out of our heart, all this rubbish, anarthas out of our heart, and then get rid of it. So some of them, like one of them is called pratishta, and that's actually, pratishta means wanting adoration and respect from others, and that's actually one that really hammers advanced devotees. I mean, not so-called advanced, but senior devotees, right?
Sorry, mate. Can you just go back just a little bit? What did you say?
Pratishta, one particular bit of dirt that's
Yeah.
in our heart, like I said last, greed and envy, one of them is called in Sanskrit pratishta. Pratishta means wanting adoration from others, adoration, wanting respect, wanting others to adore us and respect us, to be seen by others, to be seen as, you know, special, or people to worship us. So that's called puja. We have a desire to be worshipped. That's called puja. Like, oh, I'm the big guru and I want to have many disciples so that they all will worship me and offer respect to me. So, of course, I'm not saying that all gurus think like that, but that could be a desire there in the heart, that you want a position so that people will come and offer you respect. Oh, they are bowing down to me. I feel very good, like that. So you want adoration, you want respect from others, you want to be worshipped. So these are all actually weeds. They're weeds that inhibit the growth of the bhakti creeper. Actually, our love for Krishna is compared to a creeper, is compared to a plant, a creeper. So as you know, weeds can strangle a plant and stop it from growing. So there's different obstacles or weeds that can strangle that love for God, that bhakti. And like I said, lust and greed and envy and anger and so many things. And like I said, adoration and wanting respect and everything. So, of course, when you first join the Hare Krishna movement, there's no adoration. You're nobody. You're absolutely nobody. You know, no one even notices you, whatever like that. So there's not a problem with that. That weed is not there. But you see what happens, you know, if you go on and then you get some position, like you become a temple president or a temple commander or a guru or a sannyasi or a GBC or anything like that. You get a big position and, you know, like that, people respect you. And for some of the devotees, it's very difficult. Very difficult. It's said actually these subtle desires are more harder than the gross physical ones. Like, it's easy to deal with the gross ones: illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, and meat eating. These are gross weeds, you know, anarthas, unwanted things. And you might say, well, that's not easy, that's bloody hard, you know, to give up the desires for illicit sex and whatever, intoxication or whatever. But if you think that's hard, even harder than that is to give up the subtle ones. And that's called, they're actually called subtle sex desire. So there's gross physical sex desire, and these ones are, you know, the subtle sex desire, like that. So these are different obstacles that are there. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was showing that pastime, if you're a serious devotee, we have to try. We have to try to remove as much of this stuff as we can. And then if you remove that junk from the heart, then when you chant Hare Krishna, then you go to class, and then you go to the Arti, then you make rapid advancement in Krishna consciousness. But if you're harboring, or means like you're trying to keep all this stuff inside and you're not trying to get rid of it, then it's very difficult to progress. Very difficult to progress. Because Krishna's in our heart, right? And he knows everything that we desire. So if you're desiring for a big position and power and money and wealth and followers and everything like that, Krishna knows. And you're going Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But then you're desiring all that stuff. I said, okay, have it. Okay, have this money and woman and position and power and everything, but then I'm not going to give you pure devotional service. So yeah, that's a shame, you know, that we missed the boat. And the example of that in the Srimad Bhagavatam is Dhruva, the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, 5-year-old boy. He desired a kingdom greater than even Lord Brahma. You know, he wanted to have a whole universe, control the whole universe. So, and then he met Narada, and Narada tricked him into engaging in devotional service. And then by doing devotional service, severe austerities and devotional service, then his heart became purified, and then to the point where the Lord was so pleased by his service that that Vishnu appeared right in front of him, four-handed, beautiful Lord appeared right in front of him. And then the Lord said to him, okay, I'm very pleased by your service. What do you want? And then Dhruva Maharaj said, Swamin Kritatosmi Varamnayache. Now that I've seen you, my Lord, I don't want anything. He said, previously I wanted a great kingdom. But now that I've seen you, I've realized that all these things that I wanted are like bits of broken glass. But you are like a transcendental jewel. You are the real gem. But everything I wanted before you was just like broken glass. What's the characteristics of broken glass?
The only thing I think of is shattered.
Yeah, it's shattered, but so what are the characteristics of that?
Many pieces.
Yeah, many pieces. And if you go and try to grab it, what happens?
You cut yourself.
You cut yourself. Why would you want to grab it? It looks very glittery, doesn't it? Because the sun
right.
is like reflecting off the glass. It's like diamonds, right? Diamond also looks like broken glass. It's very shiny. Look at that, like a kid. You can imagine a child, if there was some broken glass on the ground, the kid might reach out and grab it, think, oh, what's that glittering, shining and glittering? So, you know, material things are like that, bits of broken glass. Oh, that money. Oh, that opposite sex. Oh, that position. Like that, it's bits of broken glass. It looks very attractive, like a shiny glass. But because it's broken, you know, as soon as you go for it, the money, you suffer. You know, the woman, the big position and the power and everything, the fame and everything, immediately you grab it, you suffer. So he said, before, you know, I wanted just a broken glass and I suffered so much, but now I've seen you are like the real jewel. You know, you grab a jewel, you're not going to get cut. You know, the jewel is not going to cut you like that. So but the Lord said that, no, you had that desire, so I'm going to give it to you. So the Lord gave him what he wanted originally. Before he met him, he gave him the best position, the best planet in the material world, which is called the pole star, Dhruva Loka. So that's actually the whole universe. It circumambulates that Dhruva Loka. Dhruva Loka is like the central pivot of the material world. So the whole universe is offering respect to that planet. Because if you walk around something or someone, that means you're offering respect. Like we walk around Tulsi, right? It's called parikrama. So we circumambulate or do parikrama for Tulsi. That's how we offer respect. So that all the planets in the universe, including the sun and the earth, they're all circumambulating or doing parikrama around where Dhruva Maharaj is, the Dhruva Loka. That's the pole star. And that in the Western astrology, that's called in the Milky Way. There's one particular planet or star in the Milky Way, which is that central pivot, Dhruva Loka, like that. So he gave him the best planet, the most sense gratification, the highest position with the most sense gratification. And I think he said for, I'm trying to remember, something like 60,000 years, you'll stay there. And then at the end of that 60,000 years, then you'll return home back to Godhead. So how did Dhruva Maharaj feel after getting that benediction? Getting the best position in the material world for such a long time, 60,000 years. No old age, no disease, no death for that time, whatever like that. Amazing sense gratification. You'd be feeling really good, wouldn't you? And how did Dhruva Maharaj feel? Did he feel really good?
No. It's like 60,000 years. How like, you know, how long is that? I can't even live in 80 and 60,000 years. What a boring.
Yeah, because we're in a miserable material earth. But this is, you know, amazing sense gratification, you know, the most sense gratification you can get in the material world. And how did Dhruva Maharaj feel? He was kicking himself. I blew it. I blew it. If I hadn't had that material desire in my heart, when I came in front of Vishnu, I would have gone immediately back to Godhead. But because I had that desire, Krishna knew my desire, then I had to stay in the material world to fulfill that desire, and then I'll go back to Godhead. So that pastime, tells us that, we have to, when we become a, aspiring devotee, we have to try our best to uproot these material desires in our heart. Otherwise, ultimately, Krishna might fulfill them, even though they're not really good for us. They're not really good for us. So, but Krishna is like a kalpavriksha. Kalpavriksha means a desire tree. So he'll fulfill whatever you desire. If you desire him, he'll give you himself, which is the ultimate. But if you desire some temporary material thing, then he may give you that. Okay, you want the money? Okay, take. You want this? Okay, have it. One time, one lady, she was a laborer. She was carrying a big bundle of sticks on her shoulders, big bundle of sticks. And then the sticks fell down onto the ground, and she was struggling to get the sticks back up again. So she called out to God, God, help me, God, come, God, oh God. And God came. And then God said, what do you want? And the lady said, put these sticks back on my shoulders. So God did that, and then he went away. But the moral of that story is, well, she's really dumb. As God came, she could have asked for the best thing, to give me liberation from suffering, take me to the spiritual world. But what did she ask for? Put this burden back on my shoulder. So that was the moral there. We ask God for such stupid things. Even Prabhupada mentioned about, the Christians, they say, God, give us our daily bread. Well, why ask God for bread? Bread is available everywhere. You don't need to ask God for bread. Of course, bread does come from God, but you don't need to ask him for bread. He's automatically going to give you what you need to eat. You don't need to ask him for bread. What you should ask him for is, please give me pure love for you. Please give me pure devotion, pure love for you. That's what we should ask. Don't ask for bread, or put the burden back on my back, or make me the GBC, a sannyasi, temple president, or make me a millionaire, or a beautiful wife and big house, and like that, because he may give it to you, but then that's not really in your best interest. So Gulshan, you were going to say something?
Yeah, it's in the past I was karmi, and then I had some desires, and now I don't need anything. What happened to those desires? Will the Krishna will fulfill that in this life or next life, or it'll be wiped out? I don't want it. Krishna will say that, sorry, mate, that the parcel already left to deliver to you. You have to take it, or will it be wiped out? Because 5 years ago, my desire was different. Now is it different?
Yeah. So the main thing is, like, at that point where you get Krishna's sangha, Krishna's association, at that point, what is in your heart? That is the main thing. That is the main thing.
Okay,
yeah, it's up to Krishna. It's up to Krishna. Like, I mean, Dhruva didn't have really any of those desires left when Vishnu came, but still Vishnu knew what was there from the past, and he decided to give that. So really, it's up to the Lord, really. It's up to the Lord.
He said, come back, you asked for it. And maybe he said that, okay, wipe out. I don't know, it's up to Krishna.
I mean, that also could be there in that pastime, just to teach us all a lesson now, that just be careful what you want.
Oh, yeah.
Be careful what you want.
Like 5 years ago,
you might get it, and then you realize, I wish I had.
That's the thing. Now it's
but generally, if you if you, like Lord Chaitanya, clear all the rubbish out and chuck it away, all those material desires, then your heart is pure. Then yeah, you can go back to Godhead. You can go back to Godhead. And then, of course, what we often feel in Kali Yuga is that, well, I'm never going to be qualified if that's what's expected, that I have to clean all the rubbish out of my heart and become completely pure to go back to Godhead. I'm never going to be qualified. Because one time Prabhupada said that in a class, you have to be 100% pure to go back to Godhead. And all the devotees were like, oh, no, Prabhupada, I can't do it, I can't do it. Oh, you know, they're all lamenting and everything. And Prabhupada could see they would become depressed and everything like that. And then Prabhupada said, okay, 90%. No, I can't do it, Prabhupada. No, I can't do it. No. And then he kept dropping it. 80%. No, I can't do it. 70%. No, 60%. No, I can't do it. Can't do it. You know, they all felt so rotten and, you know, full of pure desires. And Prabhupada could see that they just, none of them felt like they could make the grade, you know, jump the hurdle, you know, too big a hurdle, you know, to clean out all this material desires and everything. And so Prabhupada eventually, what he said was, look, don't worry about all this. You just hold on to my dhoti. I have the key. I have the key to the back door of the spiritual world, the Vaikuntha. I have the key to the back door. You just hold on to my dhoti and I'll take you back to Godhead. And all of those went, Jai Prabhupada, Jai, Jai. So that's amazing, you know. So that's another whole dimension, you know. So we've been talking about by our endeavor, you know, we got to clean our heart and everything like that. Okay, so that's one thing, our effort, our endeavor. But this is another whole dimension, which this is just mercy. Mercy means you're not qualified, but they still give it to you, even though you're not qualified. If you are qualified, that's not mercy. Mercy means you're not qualified to get something, but it's still given to you. So this is another dimension that our spiritual master, Prabhupada, he's so kind, he's so merciful, so compassionate, you know, upon the, you know, fallen, you know, souls of Kali Yuga. We're so degraded, you know, and so unqualified for spiritual practice or going back to Godhead. But the spiritual master is so merciful, so kind, because he's especially following the mood of Lord Chaitanya. These pure devotees are following in the mood of Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya was also famous as the most merciful incarnation. You know, like Krishna and other incarnations, they demand that you surrender to me and then I'll give you pure devotional service. But Lord Chaitanya never demanded anything. You know, that whatever you are, just chant Hare Krishna and then you're going to go back to Godhead. So it's a completely different scenario. So Prabhupada and the other Acharyas are like that. They have the mood of Lord Chaitanya, so kind, so compassionate. They're just liberating everyone, whatever is in their heart, and so many things like that. But it's a mix, I would say. I would say don't just expect the mercy and do nothing. You know, sit on the couch your whole life and don't make any effort in Krishna consciousness and just expect the mercy. Otherwise, you'll be like a Christian that, oh, just believe in Jesus and you can do any damn thing you like. Be a liar and a cheater and a womanizer and a drunkard and everything and do nothing. But I believe in Jesus and, you know, he's going to take me up to the heaven or whatever. No, it's not like that. So don't just expect the mercy and do nothing. And yet you got to try your best, you know, try your best to clean your heart of all the junk and everything like that. And then know that it's still, no matter how hard I try, it's not good enough. No matter how hard I try, it's not good enough. I can't do it on my own. I'm just so, you know, so contaminated and degraded and Kali Yuga person, you know, like that, and bad habits from the past and everything like that, and I can't do it on my own, you know, and then please save me, you know, please help me, you know. So it's a combination. You have to try. That's what's recommended. You have to try your very best, and it's still not enough. So then we just hope, for the Lord's mercy and the spiritual master's mercy will carry out what we lack. Will carry out what we lack, like that. There's a beautiful verse. There's a beautiful verse giving us hope. In the 9th chapter, text 22. 9th chapter, text 22.
But those who always worship me with the exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. Okay.
That's so nice, that's love, the love the Lord has for his devotees. If you try to love the Lord, worship me with exclusive devotion, if you try to love the meditating on him, thinking about the Lord, then he'll preserve what you have, carry what you lack, like that. So yeah, we lack so many things, so he'll help us. He'll help us. Yeah, he'll help us.
Without his help, I don't think so we reach. His help is must. Without his help, we can't cross the barrier of Maya.
One time, one Brahmin, a devotee of the Lord, he came across this verse in Bhagavad Gita, and he couldn't accept this last line. To them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. Saying, no, that's not possible. How God is going to personally come and provide you what you lack, and preserve what you have. I can't accept that. I can't believe that God is personally, because it says I. Who's speaking? God. So God is going to personally carry what we lack, preserve what we have. So he actually drew a line through that Sanskrit. He crossed out that Sanskrit of the Bhagavad Gita. So
was he a devotee?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, like a Brahmana, but not like a pure Vaishnava. But a Brahmana means he knows about God. That's why he's reading the Bhagavad Gita.
He's only born in the Brahmana's family, but he's not a Brahmana.
Well, to some degree. Anyway, let me continue the story, then you'll realize he's not doing too bad.
Yeah.
Because, so he went out to do some shopping to get some things that they lacked. He went out to get some shopping. And while he was out, there was a knock on the door. And a beautiful boy came to the door, carrying all the groceries that they required in the household. And the Brahmana's wife was very surprised to see such a beautiful child, and then surprised also to see carrying all these things which they required. And then the boy said, "Oh, your husband asked me to bring all these things to you, so I'm delivering them." So he came and put down all the things, and then she noticed on the boy's back was all these marks, all these cuts on his back. And the wife said, "Oh, who did that to you?" And the boy said, "Your husband did it to me." No, my husband, he's a gentle Brahmana. He would never, hurt anyone. And he said, "Yes, he did. He did this." And then the boy went away. And then the husband came back with the shopping, and to find that there's more shopping there. And he's asked, "Well, where did all this come from?" I said, "Well, you requested one boy to bring all these things. He brought it. So no, I never asked anyone to bring the things." And hey, he said that you cut his back. No, I never cut anyone's back. And then he thought that he'd put a mark through the Bhagavad Gita. So he went to his book he went to his book and he opened up to that page, and you know, he'd put a line through that part of the verse, and that line was gone. Means that Krishna had proved that that's true. That's a true statement. That God personally will come to his devotee and provide what he lacks and preserve what he has. So that devotee was like, whoa, that's amazing. Krishna came. Krishna personally came, you know, like that. And we know many times, you know, like Draupadi, right? Draupadi's being disrobed and Krishna personally came. What did she lack? She lacked sari. So what did Krishna give? Unlimited sari. You know, so maybe you lack food, maybe you lack sari, maybe you lack protection, like that. One little girl in South Africa, this is not too long ago, one little girl in South Africa, she was a devotee of Nrsimhadev. One day she was playing close to the road with a ball with her young friends, and the ball went on the road, and as children often do, they don't look. So she was just after the ball, and a truck came, hit her, and she went flying. And then everyone thought, you know, she's a goner, and they're all shocked and everything. They went over to her body, just thinking it's going to be a dead body, but she was perfectly fine. She didn't have any broken bones, no blood, nothing. All she had was two handprints on her body. And she said that Nrsimhadev came, just before the truck came, Nrsimhadev grabbed her and put her down over there. So, you know, she was a devotee of Nrsimhadev, so Nrsimhadev preserved her, preserved her life, you know, what she had. You know, so, yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. This is the relationship between the Lord and his devotee. So yeah, I would say it's a combination. You know, you try your best to remove all the junk, the lust, greed and anger and so forth, and then still it's not probably going to be enough, and then we just hope and pray that the Lord will be kind and merciful to us and everything like that. But the Lord's mercy follows when he sees that you're trying. You get it? So if he sees that you're not making any effort, do you think the mercy is going to come?
No.
Good luck. No, it's not going to come. No. You know, like, and that philosophy comes in the Damodar Leela when Mother Yashoda was tying Krishna up with ropes, because no matter how many ropes she joined together to tie Krishna to the wooden grinding mortar, it was always 2 inches too short. But she kept trying, and she was sweating, and the flowers in her hair fell on the ground, and all her clothes became loose, and the jewelry started to fall off, and, you know, she's trying really hard. So, you know, expending a lot of energy like that. And Krishna was looking up at his mother and saying, oh, she's really trying her very best. I'll help her. So then Krishna allowed her to tie up God. Because Krishna's God, right? No one can tie up God. It's impossible to tie up God. But here's this little woman tied up God, you know. So it said that 1 inch of the two, 1 inch was her endeavor, and the other inch was Krishna's mercy. You know, so the mercy comes following the endeavor, the effort. So, but just endeavor is not enough, and mercy doesn't come on its own. You know, so you put the two together, and then you're going to get somewhere, hopefully, by Krishna's mercy. Okay, anyone want to say anything about any of that stuff? Okay, let's read some purport. So yeah, you read the first paragraph. We're back to 713 now. So you read the first short paragraph. So Prabhupada's saying there, the whole world is enchanted by the three modes. So it's not just me that's in Maya or you that's in Maya. Everyone. Except for when Krishna comes, or except for... What's that?
Are the animal in the Maya as well?
Yeah, fully.
How did they, like, you know, they just eat and sleep and, you know, defend whatever
yes,
they...
that's fully in the Maya. That's fully in the
Well,
Maya. Well, what's
have to eat.
not Maya in the material world? That's Krishna consciousness. Now, everything else is Maya. So if the animals, the birds, the fish, or whatever are not Krishna conscious, then that's Maya. But either they're in the mode of goodness, or they're in the mode of passion, or they're in the mode of ignorance. But it's all different colors of Maya, like that. That's how you get the different 8,400,000 species, is by different combinations of those three modes of material nature. And to help us understand that, the example is three colors, right? Three primary colors. How many colors are there? Unlimited, right? You know, but they all come from three. Did you know that? Every single color comes from three. You know what the three are? Any artists here?
Red, green, and yellow.
Yeah, red, green, and yellow. Every single color, magenta, purple, you know, it doesn't matter what color, but it's all a combination of different amounts of red, different amounts of yellow, different amounts of green. So just by combining three things, you know, goodness, passion, and ignorance, sattva, rajas, and tamas, in different combinations, you get 8,400,000 species. And Prabhupada mentions 3 times 3 is 9. Then, you know, like 9 times 3, 27. 3 times 27, 81. 3 times 81, you get it, you know. So then you end up with 8,400,000 species just by combining the Maya in different ways. More goodness, less passion, more passion, less goodness, more ignorance, less passion, you know, different combinations of those three. So it's all Maya. You know, how we got this particular body was by, you know, different combinations of Maya, like that. So the only thing that's not Maya is Krishna consciousness. Like when Lord Chaitanya was going to take sannyas, his wife came to him, Vishnu Priya, and said, "How can you take sannyas? You know, I don't have anyone to look after me." Yeah, you know, like that. So Lord Chaitanya said, in this material world, everything is an illusion, which is Maya. Everything is illusion except for two things. Except for two things. Do you know what those two things are? Important to know. What's not Maya? Yeah, specifically, the specific part of Krishna consciousness that he mentioned, the two things, is chanting the holy name and associating with pure devotees of Krishna. Everything else is an illusion, except for those two things. Everything else is Maya. So that's the essence of Krishna consciousness, is chanting the holy name and associating with devotees, serving the devotees, associating with devotees. So the devotees and the holy name. You know, everything else is an illusion, Maya. So then he said, as long as you, telling his wife, as long as you do those two things, you will not feel my absence. Because that was her point, right? That how can you leave me? So he said, as long as you do those two things, chant the holy name and associate with devotees, you will not feel my absence. You will feel like I'm always with you, that I haven't left you. Because this idea of just, you know, husband and wife and everything, that's part of the illusion too. So the reality is just the holy name and associating with devotees. Okay, so then he took sannyas and then he left. So, and then, you know, she never got to physically see him again, but she took those instructions to heart, and she was always serving the devotees, associating with devotees, and she, for every grain of rice that she would eat that day, she would chant one round before putting that in her cooking pot. So that's a lot of rounds. If you want to eat much, if you want to eat a reasonable amount, that's a lot of rounds. So that was what she would eat that day in rice. That 1 round, 1 grain of rice. So if you want a decent meal, you got to chant a lot of rounds. So she took that to heart, you know, the only real thing, chant the holy name. So she was doing a lot of chanting like that. So, and she always felt the Lord's association. I think the Lord also gave her a personal deity of himself, and she worshipped that deity. She would have offered the rice to that deity of Lord Chaitanya and everything like that. And she's not an ordinary woman. She's an incarnation of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. So that's how she could be Lord Chaitanya's wife, because she's his eternal wife, Lakshmi Devi. So yeah, that's the reality. That's the reality. Otherwise, yeah, it's all Maya. Otherwise, it's all Maya. One time a disciple said to Prabhupada, it was actually my spiritual master. He said, Prabhupada, sometimes I feel like I'm in Maya. Prabhupada said, you're always in Maya. You're always in Maya. And no, I think he said, sometimes I fall, sometimes I fall into Maya. And Prabhupada said that, no, you see, you're always in Maya, and sometimes you fall into Krishna consciousness. So that was an interesting way. You get it? So he said, you're in Maya, and then sometimes you fall into Krishna consciousness. Whereas the devotee was thinking that I'm Krishna conscious, and then, I fall into Maya. But Prabhupada was swinging it around. That actually there's a lot of Maya, where we are. Where we're coming from, where we are in the material world. So it's not so easy, not so easy to immediately get out of Maya. I mean, we can, like we read in that purport, right, the end of the 2nd chapter, that you can become Krishna conscious in a moment. So if you're very sincere, very serious, you can get out of Maya in just a moment to become Krishna conscious. But if we're not so sincere and serious, then, it might take some time. And, like Gulshan said, when you go to the temple, then you're like, wow, it seems like you're in the spiritual world. Yeah, so we fell into Krishna consciousness when we, come into some nice association. Like he said, Lord Chaitanya said, association with devotees, chanting the holy name, that's the only real thing. So sometimes we're lucky we get that, isn't it? Nice, you attend a nice festival, lots of devotees chanting the holy name. Yeah, and you've fallen out of Maya into Krishna consciousness, so that's the thing, like that. And then if you leave the devotees and then you stop chanting, then you've, back into Maya again, so like that. So we keep trying, and then the idea is slowly that more chanting, more devotee association, and less of the rest. In the beginning, it's more of the rest, and less chanting, less association. But as we go through our life, we should try to get more and more devotee association and more chanting. Like Prabhupada said, he said, I didn't say 16 rounds maximum. I said 16 rounds minimum. But don't think that's the cap. We put the cap on the holy name. Oh, I've chanted my 16 rounds. That's it, finish. No, that that's just the minimum. So as you go on, especially as you get freed up from family responsibilities, when the children are grown up and you don't have to work so hard and make so much money, like you retire from your having to work for money or whatever, then you got more time, then try to chant more. Prabhupada himself, when he was, a family man, he was chanting the 16 round minimum. 16 round minimum. But then, because he had big responsibilities, he's got wife, children, he had a business, he was running a pharmaceutical business, everything. He was doing the 16 round minimum. And then, but later on, of course, you know, Vanaprastha, he became then a sannyasi, then more chanting. His first disciple was actually in India. He had one disciple in India before he went to America. So before 965, he had one Indian disciple. His name was Prabha something, or Prakash something, I can't remember. Prabha, I can't remember exactly. Anyway, he had one disciple. And so he was so lucky. He had association with Prabhupada, you know, a lot of it, because there was no other disciples. So he had a lot of association with Prabhupada. And one particular time he said that it was around Janmashtami time or something, I think, at some festival. And he said that he chanted for days, like non-stop. He just chanted day and night for like 2 or 3 days continuously. And one time he got up, the disciple got up in the middle of the night. He had to go somewhere or do something. And Prabhupada was in the temple room chanting all by himself, no one else there. He was chanting. And then he said he was dancing ecstatically around the temple room with his hands up in the air, just completely in ecstasy, just chanting with so much ecstasy and bliss and like that. And he had a huge garland around his neck of kadamba flowers. And he said they were like as big as a tennis ball, each kadamba flower. And those kind of kadamba flowers is a golden round flower with lots of little tiny spikes sort of things on it, not sharp, but a little golden ball. They're like golden balls, but they're normally like the size of a golf ball, not the size of a tennis ball. So this disciple, he particularly noticed there was a huge garland right to Prabhupada's feet of these like tennis ball sized kadamba flowers, which he's never seen in his whole life. And anyway, Prabhupada didn't even notice him come into the room. He was just in ecstasy and chanting and dancing. And the next day he went to a spiritual master and asked him, "Oh, I came to the temple room last night and you were chanting and dancing with such ecstasy. And by the way, I noticed you had this you know, this massive garland of kadamba flowers. Where did you get that from? I've never seen anything like it." And then he said, and this is completely mind-blowing, that he was chanting at a particular point, and he just became so ecstatic, the chanting, and Krishna appeared before him. Krishna appeared before him and put this garland around his neck, and then left. So we're talking about, you know, the big man, the big boss, you know, the Supreme Personality of Godhead came to the material world, put a garland from the spiritual world around Prabhupada. And then after that, Prabhupada was like, "Hare Krishna!" He was completely in ecstasy, you know, that Krishna put a garland around him like that. So that's what I'm saying, you know, that's what we want to head towards, more of that, more chanting, you know, more associating with the devotees, less working hard to pay the bills and, you know, building up material possessions and enjoying sense gratification, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. These are the 4 animal necessities, you know, but we want to move into what's beyond that, you know. So less eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, and more Krishna consciousness, more chanting and devotee association. That's the idea. When Prabhupada was on his deathbed in 1977, he said, "Previously I gave up mating and defending." Right? You know, when he left Grihastha life, family life, and become a sannyasi, then no more mating. And also defending, you know, just depending on Krishna, no fear. Why do we defend? Because we're afraid. Why? Because we're afraid. That's why we defend. But no more fear. You know, completely taking shelter of Krishna, depending on Krishna will protect me. So he got to that point where no more mating and no more defending and fearing. And then he said, then in 1977, he said, now I've given up the remaining two things that the material body needs, eating and sleeping. Because for the previous few weeks, he hadn't slept and he hadn't eaten anything. So he said, I guess I'm liberated. Actually, he's always liberated, but that's his humility. Because, I mean, these are the needs of the material body, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. If you don't do those things, it means you're out of the body, isn't it? Isn't it? If you don't eat and you don't sleep, and you don't have sex and you don't protect, defend, then you're out of the body. You're liberated, right? You're freed. You know that. So this is what it means to be a conditioned soul. That these are the conditions that you have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to have sex, and you have to fear, you have to be afraid and protect the body like that. So the more we become Krishna conscious, then those things go down less. Those things become minimized. Even the 6 Goswamis, right, said they would sleep maybe 2 or 3 hours a day. Sometimes not even that. And they eat maybe every second day, have a handful of chickpeas or a little bit of buttermilk, chas, like that, every day or two, a little bit like that. Hardly eating, hardly sleeping, just enough to maintain the body and soul together. And heaps of chanting, like Haridas Thakur, right? 100 and, what was it? 164, 126. I think 172 rounds a day. That beeping sound, that's our signal time's up, is it?
I think
but
it might be the fan above you.
No, that's okay. But I was just joking. But yeah, it is, our time is up. So, but would anyone like to say anything?
Will we see you next Thursday?
That's the plan. All going well. All going well.
Thank
So yeah, we were saying that, you know, that this first paragraph is saying that the whole world is enchanted by Maya, by these 3 modes. But you can look afterwards in your own time. Just check out 1426. 1426. So this is how to get out of that Maya.
Thank you for being there for us.
That's all right. That's all right.
See you next week.
Yes.
Bye-bye, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Stay safe.
Thank you. Yes. Drink some water, Bob.
Yeah, I'm going to, mate. Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Has Ben come back yet, Deepa? When does he come back?